Procrastination is the thief of time. Napoleon Hill said it pretty well. Procrastination is the habit of putting off until the day after tomorrow what should have been done the day before yesterday. Boy, is that ever true. Most of the time, I know and do what I podcast about, right? Makes sense. Probably wouldn't be talking about it if I didn't understand it and hopefully do it. But the subject of procrastination is one that I need to remind myself of constantly. And I use that as an affirmation as well. Procrastination is the thief of time. I've had a slogan on my desk for about 30 years now, which is do it now. And even subconsciously, if I see that, it reminds me to do it. And let me give you an example, is that this podcast that you are listening to now is number 134. That means that I've done this weekly podcast consistently each week for 134 weeks. I never missed one. Every week I do it. It gets published on no later than Monday, and consistently done that. It's just become a habit at this point. So it's reasonably easy to do, and you don't want to break those habits. So that's easy for me. But procrastination is a consistent problem that I see holds people back on their QLA journey all the time. I look at weekly reports that not much happened this week. And oftentimes what I see are the results are terrible in one week, but the next week, the goals for that week are off the charts. So someone may have made no cold calls, for instance, and next week they say they're going to make 500 cold calls. Then the next week comes, we take a look at it, and they say, I didn't make 500, but next week I'm going to make 500. And it's really important to recognize that pattern. It's a natural pattern that a lot of people have, certainly. And some things are harder than other people to, quote, do it now. You might say, well, tomorrow I will make my cold calls tomorrow. I need to prep before I do those calls, so I need to spend some time. One that almost everybody is accustomed to is, I'm going to start my diet tomorrow, or I'm going to start working out tomorrow. And the same is true for QLA, is that people say, well, I'm going to start my QLA journey tomorrow. I'm going to start my QLA journey next week. Or, well, we're almost halfway through this year, so I'm going to start my QLA journey January 1st, 2022. But I would encourage you to remember something that I saw and used in a podcast previously, and that is that someday is a day of the week. But week isn't spelled W-E-E-K, it's spelled W-E-A-K. Someday is a day of the week. So look at that, recognize those patterns, think about what you've put off that you shouldn't have put off, and remember to do it now. You may not be prepared as well as you think you should be, but almost always taking action now is the best course of action. And just think back on maybe when you started to think about QLA, how long ago that was, what's happened in that time frame, what opportunities have passed during that time frame. I frequently talk about success stories, and Dan recently sent me one where a mentee over the last 18 months had accumulated 8 acquisitions and had ended up with about $8 million in enterprise value that he had when you look at his percentage of the enterprise value. So people have certainly succeeded. Those people may have at some point done procrastination as well, but at some point they also cured that. I remember Dan saying a lot of times that particularly German mentees, for whatever reason, he says it takes them a long time to figure it out and get it. But once they get it, they got it. And some of those results speak for themselves. So I'd encourage you to think about all those things. If your excuse, and it is an excuse, is you can't financially afford to go to the Castle seminar or even buy one of the courses that I've put out, there are plenty of free materials that are available there's a brucewhipple.com/free class, which is out there. Dan has plenty of materials on his website. I have free materials on my website. There are these podcasts. There are the emails that I do. If you're not getting the emails, just go to brucewhipple.com and take any free report. That'll put you on the list to get these emails. But do certainly that. And then if you're looking for something, there's 2 courses that I'd recommend that I did. The first one was brucewhipple.com/deep dive bootcamp, which is the initial introduction of the steps. And the second, my marketing director and I finished up recently, was brucewhipple.com/2021. And the intent of that was to take a look at what's changed since the original QLA that Dan created back in 1993. That doesn't mean that the process has changed. The process is still the same as what Dan created back then, but technology has changed. Things like LinkedIn, which we all know, but there are also other tools that can be used to help the efficiency of the QLA journey. I recently talked to a mentee, Yossi, and he ended up telling me about how he eliminated distractions. He turned off televisions. He turned off his phone. He went into his office, closed the door, put a sign on the outside in a meeting, please don't disturb me. And he said it was incredible how much the productivity improved. So to set up those office hours, again, that involves you taking a look at your schedule, determining when you want to do that, and not procrastinating on it, but set up those office hours and treat them like that. The other thing that'll help you a ton is the Ivy Lee method I've talked about. The night before each day, write down the most important things that'll move your needle the most, and then put a time next to them. I'll do this at 6 a.m., this at 7 a.m., et cetera, et cetera. You will have a much better chance to complete it if you write it down and put a time next to it. So I would encourage you, in summary, to remember procrastination is the thief of time. Procrastination is the bad habit of putting off until tomorrow what you should have done the day before yesterday. Amen to that. And if you implement that, and if you get out of your comfort zone and take some chances that you don't think you're prepared for, I think you'll be very surprised in the results. So, massive action, do it now, and drive a stake through the heart of procrastination. All of those things will serve you well. Okay, so if you've got any ideas for future podcasts, I'd love to hear those. You just go ahead and email me at bruce@brucewhipple.com. And if you go over to brucewhipple.com, go ahead and grab the free class. It's brucewhipple.com/free class. I look forward to hearing from you. And remember, this is QLA's time. There is a lot of free information you can use to acquire already profitable businesses. This is Bruce Whipple. Thanks for listening to the Business Acquisition Podcast. And remember, you miss 100% of the opportunities you fail to take. And procrastination truly is the thief of time. So do something today, please. Your future self will be proud of.